And John's about to lay this out for you. And I really want to know what you think about this. Now, you guys know how I feel about Ronald Acuña. Acuña for life! But when you look at the statistics in Major League Baseball right now, okay, and I want to leave Shohei Ohtani out of this because Shohei is outplaying pretty much everybody in the American League, and I think he's got a rap on the American League MVP. But statistically, when you start talking about a guy who's among the batting leaders at a .331 average and home runs, and stolen bases, and all the numbers, John, is he already a top 10 Brave?
You know, that was a text I got from a friend of mine who said, I was listening to you and Dukes, and you guys were talking about, the Braves and all how great they are. And he said, in Acuña for life, as you said. And he said, where does Ronald Acuña rank in the Atlanta Braves? I was like, oh, come on, stop. I mean, he's only been with the team a few years. He's played less than 4 full seasons. It's his 6th year, but because of COVID and injuries, he's played less than 4 full seasons, all right? Less than 4 full seasons. Now, having said that, you start looking at the top 10 and go, okay, well, who are the top 10 players in Atlanta Braves history? All these guys are either in the Hall of Fame, headed to the Hall of Fame, or should be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
It's Hank Aaron, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Phil Niekro, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, Dale Murphy, and Freddie. That's 9.
Okay. Number 10?
All right, it could be, is it a Javi? Is it a Horner? And then you start looking at the numbers. And remember, we talked about how, and everybody's made a big deal. There's only been 4 players in the history of baseball who have gone 40-40 in a year. Those 4 happen to be Jose Canseco, Alex Rodriguez, Barry Bonds, and then Alfonso Soriano, who was a pretty good player in his 1 year in Washington. Now, not as he only at 40-40, we're talking 40-70. That's what we're talking about here. He's already been Rookie of the Year in less than 4 years. He's already been Rookie of the Year, a 4-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, but he's only been in the MVP top 5 once. Still, Ronald Acuña is 25 years old. He already has 141 home runs, which is 16th on the all-time Braves list. It's 1 more than Joe Torre. 6 more he catches Ron Gant. 6 more home runs he catches Ron Gant. How good was Ron Gant? A couple more he passes David Justice. How good was David Justice?
Amazing.
With 148 stolen bases, he already has 10 more than Andrew Jones. He's got 3 more, and he passes Chipper Jones. I mean, he's already, again, 4 seasons, and he's at or passing Ron Gant, David Justice, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, Dale Murphy in certain categories in 4 seasons.
I've said we're watching something special, and those are all indicators of how special, particularly Ronald Acuña is. But we've said we're watching a team that's very special. And I think for Ronald Acuña, this is the start of his run, okay? To your point about the 4 years, 6 years in, COVID, etc., he needs about 6 more to 7 more years of this kind of performing,
sure.
Right? To really just be put above and beyond a lot of those guys. Now, for me, Henry Aaron is always going to be number 1. Okay? Now, I don't care what anybody says. The late, great Henry Aaron, God bless his soul, just a different guy, came up in a different time. And for what he fought for and how he went about his business, it's just different. But for Ronald Acuña, statistically, okay, is he going to play that long? Because Aaron played a long time. And let's just say he does. Let's say he plays 15 years and he's this good or a little bit less than this good. He's got a chance to be an all-timer. Forget about the Braves top 10. He's got a chance to be an all-timer. The question is, John, and this is the thing, and this is what we never know about these guys. Does he want to do that? Number one, with the money involved, right? We said this. Acuña's young enough. He's going to get another $300 million deal, $400 million, whatever it's going to be when it comes time to renegotiate. But does he want to play 15, 20 years? And then is he going to be durable? See, the thing about the great Henry Aaron was he didn't miss games. He was durable. He played every season. And say what you want. You know, guys always compare eras, and we do this, right? Oh, guys are just tougher or whatever. But this is what I know. Like, Henry Aaron wasn't going to miss unless he absolutely had to. And I'm not saying that will happen with our guy, Ronald Acuña. But health and durability is a concern with what he's already been through. So he may have 5 or more seasons of this. Maybe that's it. Or maybe he has 10 more. And if he does, then it puts him statistically on a category level of all the all-time greats when you start talking about the numbers that we're going to be comparing him to.
No, that's absolutely true. Oh, that's true. And to his contract and the $17 million a year now that he gets and how he is underpaid, and why did he sign that $100 million deal and he played for 1 year for what, $1 million? And why would he do that, considering the amount of money that's out there? I think the Braves, I would hope the Braves would do him right. And, let's say he, if I'm Alex Anthopoulos and his agent comes to me and says, look, you got to do my guy right. I'm going to say, okay, you know what? Win an MVP this year. Help me win another World Series. Be right back in the MVP race. Next year, maybe you win 2 MVP. I don't know. You come back to me in 2 years. Let's see where you're at. Can you stay healthy? Come back to me in 2025, in the middle of the 2025 season.
So you say 2 years before you give him a new deal?
2 years before I start talking. And in the middle of the 2025 season, if he's been durable, if he's gotten an MVP, if we've got a World Series, if he's done all these things, at that point, because what are we talking about here? We're talking about him walking into a potential $35 or $40 million a year deal. I have to see 35 or 40 million. For all these stats, for all these numbers, for all the impressive stuff, you hit it on the head on one thing, that's durability. I have to see 2 years of complete durability.
Yeah, I just, and it's part of the equation. As exciting as he is,
because this money's guaranteed.
It is. You're getting it regardless.
You want me to give you 8 years and $300 million? I got to make sure you're going to give me 8 years for my $300 million.
Well, that's the thing. That's why the Braves have never reached or in a situation we're trying to re-sign or go after a particular player. This has kind of been the philosophy. But I'm telling you right now, the philosophy of AA, he don't play. He's not taking any chances, unnecessary chances, regardless of who the individual is. And this is what is going to continue to make us good. It's good from the standpoint that I think we remain good because he's always going to have that in front of him. It's bad because we are going to lose good players like we've lost the last few years because they're not willing to go to a place that other teams are going to be willing to go to. Mm-hmm. It's just what it is.
No, I get it.
So I think that, from a fan standpoint, I would ask you, do you want to be good for a long time or do you want to be good for a little bit? If you want to be good for a little bit, you start to sign all these guys to super deals, and all of a sudden guys start to fade in their early 30s, and you're overpaying guys, and statistically they're not putting up numbers anymore, and all of a sudden you say, we should have never paid that guy.
Right.
There's not one guy right now on this Braves team that you're going, we shouldn't have paid him. Not one.
Nope, not one. No, and you've got these guys locked up, together as a unit for at least 5 or 6 more years. Now you're going to have to make a decision on Max Fried. See, This is why, he didn't sign Max Fried. Everybody in the offseason said, no, do Max Fried. Now you're lucky he didn't do Max Fried. Now you're happy he didn't do that deal. You couldn't have foreseen what was going to happen, but now you have to see, now Max is going to have to earn it again if he doesn't get traded. Do you see that story?
You think that's really going to happen?
No, I don't think so, but it was just kind of fun to just at least talk about. I mean, the concept of Max Fried being traded alongside and Austin Riley. And how about would the earth shake to the ground if all of a sudden Max Fried, Austin Riley, and Kyle Wright went to the Angels for Shohei? I mean, would the earth shake to the ground in Major League Baseball? I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. But with the earth, I don't think Alex would either. But
well, listen, the earth would shake. But I would ask this question to Braves fans. It's Dukes and Bell Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. We're talking about Ronald Acuña is already a top 10 Brave. He just is. In the limited seasons he's already played. And that got us to this question about and talking about where the Braves are. I would tell you, we don't need Shohei. Right? We don't. Not because we're winning this division and we're running away with things. But, we already have enough superstars on this team. We're not in the business of trying to attract more people to go to Truist. We don't need it.
Oh, no, we're going to sell tickets.
We're selling tickets?
Well, you know why? Because we are by far, listen like I got a mouse in my pocket. The Braves are by far the best team in baseball.
So that's the part about this, John. You're right. I wouldn't do it, but the teams that are starved to do it need more star power. They need an attraction. Story came out after the All-Star game. We talked about this, you and I, the other day, and we were like, Seattle is in the mix for Shohei Ohtani. Really? I'm not surprised, but the fact of the matter is a lot of the teams that are going to potentially do this One, they have the financial wherewithal because you got to have $500-600 million to do it. Okay, so that's the Dodgers, that's the Mets, hi Mets fans, that's the Yankees, etc. And then teams that we don't expect, like the Padres have been spending money like crazy the last few years. It hasn't panned out. But if you want to add just star power and getting people to the ballpark, go get Shohei Ohtani. We don't need that. We're good enough, and we have enough stars on this team already. As good as he is, I would not do any deal whatsoever to go out and get Shohei Ohtani.
You know, one of the things I thought was kind of interesting, since we're on this discussion too, is they set the pitching rotation for the series against the White Sox. It'll be Morton Strider and Colby Allard.
Yep. And
I saw the name Colby Allard, and I went, Let me tell you why I thought that was interesting. Not only has he earned a third straight start, but who's he pitching against? The White Sox. Why? Well, the White Sox have a guy in Lucas Giolito, a starting pitcher that the Braves might want. And maybe, just maybe,
showcase.
Showing a
little showcase?
Little showcase for Colby Allard to be part of that deal. What do you think of this guy? Watch him. You're sitting with the White Sox GM. We like this guy. He's okay. You could throw him into the deal if you want Lucas Giolito.
It's not far-fetched, John. Seen it time and time again in Major League Baseball where you go, why are they starting him? And then you realize, because they need to let other teams see what they may be acquiring. It's not that far-fetched.